Good afternoon from Manila to governors, temporary alternate governors, President Asakawa. My name is Eugene Zhukov, and I'm the Secretary of the Asian Development Bank. Thank you for taking the time to participate in today's business session, which is the second part of the 53rd annual meeting of the Board of Governors. I would like to confirm that we have a quorum for this meeting. May I please request you to switch off your microphones. I will now request the Chair of the Board of Governors to start the business session. Mr. Chairman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Good afternoon from Korea to Governor, Temporary Alternate Governor, President Asakawa. Thank you for participating in today's business session. The second part of the 53rd annual meetings of the Board of Governors of the ASEAN Development Bank is now called to order. The first part of the annual meetings was held virtually on 22 May 2020, where many of you participated. On behalf of the Board of Governors, I would like to welcome all of you to the second part of the annual meeting. Today, we are holding these business sessions to address matters that require notation and approval by the Board of Governors. Today's meetings will proceed as follows. Approval of the agenda, followed by remarks by the ADB President and closing remarks by the Chair. We will also request the incoming Chair of the Board of Governors, the Governor from Georgia, to deliver his remarks. Governor has submitted written remarks, which will be available in the ADB website and in the summary of these proceedings. We will now proceed with the business sessions. Let us first take up the paragraphs 2 and 3 of the Procedure Committee report. With regard to the provisional schedule of the meeting, document BG 53-7, you will note that the schedule provides for a short session today. The provisions relating to conducting the meeting, as set out in document BG 53-8, conformed with the proceedings of this part of the annual meeting. I take it that these two documents are acceptable and that we may approve them as recommended by the Procedure Committee. In paragraph 1 of each report, the Procedure Committee has recommended the approval of the agenda, as shown in document BG 53-6. If there is no objections, I declare that the agenda is approved. Let us now take up the committee's recommendations on the agenda items and start with agenda items 1 to 3 for our notation, which were approved by the Board of Directors. Item 1 is the annual report for 2019. Item 2 is the budget for 2020, which encompasses the budget for ADB and the ADB Institute, as contained in document BG 53-9. Item 3 is the status of the financial resource of the ADB, as contained in document BG 53-10. As recommended by the Procedure Committee, I propose the board take note of these three items accordingly. Regarding item 4, the committee recommends that the proceeding committee for 2020/2021 be composed of the governor for Brunei Darussalam, Germany, Japan, Kyrgyz Republic, Pakistan, People's Republic of China, Spain, Sweden, Turkmenistan, United States, Uzbekistan, with the governor for Georgia as chair of the committee. If there is no objections, I declare that the agenda is approved. I congratulate the newly appointed member of the Procedure Committee. Regarding item 5, the committee has recommended that the Governor of Georgia be elected Chair of the Board of Governors for 2020/2021, and the Governor for Netherlands and Samoa be elected Vice Chairs, to holding office from the end of this meeting until the end of the 54th annual meeting of the Board of Governors. If there is no objections, I declare that the agenda is approved. I have great pleasure in congratulating the Governor for Georgia on his election as Chair of the Board of Governors for 2020/2021. I also congratulate the governors for Netherlands and Samoa on their election as Vice Chair for 2020/2021. Finally, on item 6, place and date of the 56th annual meeting, the committee recommends approval of the document BG 53-11. In the absence of any objections, I declare this item approved, and the draft resolution as submitted by the Procedure Committee is adopted. I would like to call on now the President of the Asian Development Bank to deliver his remarks. President Asukawa, please.
Thank you, Chair, Mr. Nam Kyung-hong. Greetings, members of the Board of Governors. When we last gathered together to our brief annual meeting business session in May, I described how ADB has been leading the response and recovery of Asia and the Pacific. ADB is continuing this effort through our COVID-19 response and wider operations. I am pleased to report to you today on the progress we have made. My update acknowledges the new challenges we have faced in recent months. Those uncertainties have affected this business session as we were not able to meet in person as we had hoped. I want to extend my appreciation to the Deputy Prime Minister for the Republic of Korea and Chair of the ADB Board of Governors, Mr. Nam Ki-hong, for his constant support and flexibility in arranging these meetings. I look forward to the same strong partnership in planning for the annual meetings in 2023, and I am grateful for his offer to host us in Incheon. I also wish to thank the Governor for Georgia and Minister of Finance, Mr. Machibariani, for joining us today and for supporting our preparations for the 2021 annual meetings. Governors, the candid discussions we are having together during this challenging time have allowed ADB to adjust its operations to meet the changing needs of our developing member countries. Our agenda for today is abbreviated, but I plan to review your written statement carefully and will always keep my door open to continue our dialogue. Let me move on now to the main message I wish to convey as we near the end of these meetings. My message is this: rest assured that ADB will continue to earn your trust as a steadfast partner during the uncertain times we still face in our region as we build for a strong and lasting recovery. My unshakable confidence in this commitment comes not only from my current tenure as ADB President, but also from all my experience prior to taking office. I was closely involved in efforts to address challenges such as the global financial crisis of 1997 and 2008, and deeply affected our region. I served as chair of the G20 meeting in 2019 last year, which produced tangible results on high-quality infrastructure principles, universal health care, and aging. and as a chairperson of the OECD Fiscal Affairs Committee, which addressed base erosion and profit shifting, BEPS. These past efforts of governments and development partners demonstrated how critical it is to produce global and regional public goods and to foster international cooperation in times of crisis. This important work has also proven to be an investment in our collective ability to confront future crises. ADB support to our developing members builds on those efforts. And while the health, economic, and social impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic have been truly painful for many people, we have the resources to deal with the challenges that we now face in Asia and the Pacific. Let me share with you some of the ways ADB has been addressing the impacts on our region while supporting its recovery. Demand for assistance from the $20 billion COVID-19 response package that ADB announced in April has been very strong. So far, ADB has committed about $11.2 billion in COVID-19 related financial and technical assistance. Our support includes a grant and technical assistance to help governments meet urgent needs for medical and personal protective equipment. ADB introduced a new financing modality, the COVID-19 Pandemic Response Option, or CIPRO, to provide assistance with government's countercyclical expenditure programs, and we have already committed about $8.2 billion to support our developing countries. In addition, ADB has committed $1.7 billion to the private sector through our COVID-19 response in order to rejuvenate trade and supply chains and provide enhanced microfinance and guarantees for liquidity-starved businesses, including those run by female entrepreneurs. Working closely with developing partners, we have also mobilized an additional $7.2 billion in co-financing. It is also important to note that our financial interventions have been bolstered by a number of knowledge activities, such as reports, blogs, webinars, and widely attended online symposiums. Your supportive actions and ADB's dedicated staff have made it possible to quickly respond to the needs of our developing members during a time of unprecedented economic and logistical disruption. Let me also inform you with deep appreciation that we concluded the Asian Development Fund ADF-13 negotiations on Wednesday this week with agreement from donors on a total replenishment of more than $4 billion. This represents a 7% increase from ADF-12. These resources will contribute indispensably in our work to mitigate the impact of the pandemic and build for recovery in low-income countries, including fragile and conflict-affected situations of FCAS and small island development states, or SEAs. Our work towards a sustainable, resilient, and inclusive recovery stands on a foundation of mutual trust formed over decades of cooperation with you, our members. Building on these relationships, I will continue to strengthen ADB support, particularly in the following 6 areas. First, to help our developing members seize the opportunities that renewed globalization can offer in a post-pandemic new normal. ADB will further promote regional cooperation and integration. While there are some who suggest that recent border closures and travel restrictions are signs that globalization has ground irreversibly to a halt, I do believe that globalization will return, but it will take a different shape. To prepare wisely for this, ADB will help our developing members secure more diversified value and supply chains. We will also promote regional public goods for better collective prevention of disease outbreaks, adaptation and mitigation of climate change impacts, and enhancement of the regional financial safety net. Second, we have to be mindful that the COVID-19 pandemic has contributed to an increase in both income inequality, and absolute poverty. To address these very unfortunate trends, we will strengthen investments in health, education, and social protection so that safety and opportunities are assured for all members of society, including women, girls, and marginalized populations. Our investment will also help to build the human capital that the economy needs to thrive in the long term. Third, we will accelerate our efforts to tackle climate change so that we can achieve the goals we established in our Strategy 2030 to reach $80 billion in cumulative climate investments and 75% of the total number of our committed operations by 2030. Fourth, ADB will invest in information technology and data for health, education, financing for micro, small, and medium enterprises, and remote work, while also addressing both the digital divide and cyber security. Because of the enormous potential digital technologies offer, ADB will continue to focus on enhancing our understanding of emerging opportunities and risks. We will do all this with an eye towards deepening our practical experience in applying digital solutions. Fifth, we will help our members strengthen domestic resource mobilization through international tax cooperation. This is a crucial cross-cutting priority for ADB because all of the key areas I identified so far require governments to improve their capacity to mobilize financial resources while managing debt sustainability. And last, ADB will play a role in supporting the efforts of our developing members to secure access to safe and effective vaccines and to formulate strategies for equitable delivery. To accomplish this, we will continue to strengthen our collaboration with the World Health Organizations, WHO, the World Bank, Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, vaccine experts, and pharmaceutical companies. Let me conclude by emphasizing two more things. The first is that ADB's commitment to diversity and inclusion is more important than ever because it equips us with a range of skills and perspectives needed to truly address the hardships that many are facing during these difficult times, especially poor and vulnerable populations, and women and underrepresented groups. To further this commitment, I welcome the recent establishment of the Working Group on Gender Diversity as the ADB Board. And I encourage our members to give strong consideration to women candidates for seat on our Board of Directors. The second is that ADB Strategy 2030 continue to serve as our roadmap for the uncertain times ahead. Combined with strong coordination from development partners, our COVID-19 response package, ADF 13 replenishment, and other lending, equity, grant, and knowledge operations will all work together to help our developing members emerge from the current crisis and, in time, settle safely into a new normal that is even more prosperous, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable than before. So thank you, governors, for making all of this possible. I stand proudly with you, knowing that our shared commitments and enduring friendship will soon lead our region to new levels of growth, trust, and collective well-being in the years and decades ahead. I wish you and all the people you represent here today good health and a strong recovery as we continue our journey together. Thank you.
Thank you, President Asakawa. At this point, allow me to deliver my closing remarks. Distinguished fellow governors, representatives of members, President Asakawa, ladies and gentlemen, contrary to our hopes, COVID-19 is still with us. I would like to sincerely thank President Asakawa and the ADB staffs for their active role in fighting COVID-19 in the Asia-Pacific region. We are currently in the middle of three unprecedented crises: a pandemic, an economic downturn, and changes in economic and social structure. Since none of these crises can be solved by one individual member, we all need to stand in solidarity. I will now highlight 3 priorities. First, improving our abilities to counter public health crises and building resilience. COVID-19 has not abated, and the second wave may also break out. Some even warn about a twindemic risk. This will overload medical systems and devastate the economies and societies of our region. Boosting economic growth depends on effective quarantine. It is crucial to meet the pressing healthcare and economic needs of developing member countries in a timely manner. We will share the lessons learned and focus on building public health capacity in developing member countries. Policies to encounter social distancing will be another priority point. Measures to build resilience against future pandemics are imperative. We will need to adopt an innovative system such as the medical supply stockpile. These facilities can stock necessary equipment and medicine when supply is stable and provide them to developing member countries in the early stage of a pandemic. Second, promoting inclusiveness through prompt and efficient fiscal policy. Extreme restrictions have had dire consequences, including employment shock and severe economic recession. Under this circumstance, the role of public finance is critical for safeguarding jobs, supporting demand, and protecting vulnerable groups. At the same time, fiscal policy must be effective for ensuring the delivery of a stimulus package. In this context, we support the overarching role that the ADB plays in financial support, capacity building, and the adjustment of expenditure priorities. In conjunction with this effort, I believe that the ADB must also consider that vulnerabilities that constrain fiscal space. In particular, financial and policy support will be significant for developing member countries in fragile and conflict-affected situations, or FCAS, and small island developing state, or SIDS, since these crises are particularly painful for them. Third, transitioning to a digital and green economy. COVID-19 is accelerating the pace of switching to a digital economy. On top of that, the recognition of the need to address climate change is speeding up the pace of the shift to a green economy. We will spare no effort to create jobs and jumpstart the economy, even as we continue to focus on the urgent issues of healthcare and economic repression. To this end, the ADB will serve as a knowledge disseminator. We expect the ADB to facilitate such a transition by building capacity, designing tailored projects, and enhancing educational infrastructure, while taking the situation of each member into account. I look forward to meeting all of you in Georgia in person once we prepare over the current pandemic and the economic crisis. I am also grateful to everyone for supporting Korea as we prepare to host the 56th ADB annual meeting in 2023. Finally, I would like to extend my deepest sympathies to everyone who has suffered from health problems and economic difficulty. Let me conclude by wishing you all good health and safety. Thank you. Before you conclude this session, I would like to call on the Governor of Georgia, the Chair-elect of the Board of Governors, to deliver his remarks. Please, Governor of Georgia.
Thank you. Esteemed President Asakawa, Honorable Chairman and Governors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear ADB team, I'm honored to be here today. I'm grateful to ADB team for organizing the annual meeting in these difficult circumstances. We are living in unprecedented reality, and I would like to thank organizers for timely coping with the challenge and giving us opportunity to meet, though virtually. Such virtual summits still give us opportunity to discuss very important aspects of cooperation. Despite that, we all know how different it should have been. We all have had very high expectations from annual meeting in Incheon, and I'm sure the meeting in Korea was to be an absolute success. Let me express my appreciation to Korean authorities for all preparatory works that were done on highest level. We hope that Incheon will have another chance to surprise all of us and to host the annual meeting in coming years. We are living in a very difficult environment. Pandemic changed everything, created dire environment when people suffer, economies are severely hit, affecting living standards of everyone around the world. The new coronavirus revealed how fragile our everyday life is. ADB was on the front line of fighting pandemic and dealing with its consequences and continues to be so. ADB has established a comprehensive $20 billion package to member countries to help counter the severe macroeconomic and health impacts caused by COVID-19. Despite there are hopes about vaccine coming and mankind will be able to join actions to defeat pandemic, the consequences of the economy is going to be long-lasting. Post-COVID economies will not be the same as the one during pre-COVID times. Challenges will be long-lasting. To tackle them, coordinated and inclusive working strategy is needed today for both to deal with emergency needs and to strengthen the grounds for economic recovery. Fellow governors, we in ADB need decisive actions. First, we need to continue and even boost the focus on economic and structural reforms. These reforms that aim to strengthen the fundamentals of our economies and facilitate resilience to shocks. Let me emphasize ADB's role in private sector development. We should strengthen private sector roles as an engine for economic recovery, and the role of ADB will be crucial here. Revising risk appetite and thus promoting private sector is the issue that we will need to discuss in coming periods. Another direction is human capital. Top 4 highest ranking countries in human capital index ranking are the countries of the region. Although we have sizable amount of countries like Georgia lagging behind, in assisting the countries in reforming their healthcare and education systems, ADB has distinguished experience and huge potential, which should be our long-term continuous focus. We need to maintain the policies on promoting regional cooperation and integration. The future of our world is in building bridges and in holding together. Georgia is a very big promoter of free trade policies and will continue to be so. It is very important to help the countries investing in cross-border connectivity, higher integrity, more openness, and less barriers are the basis we should build our future on. We are sure that bank will be a top institution in driving forward the common agenda of efficient economic recovery in post-COVID periods. Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you that next annual meeting is planned to be in Georgia. I think you all understand the challenges that will be facing hosting of this event. However, we are dedicated and strongly committed to hold outstanding and memorable annual meeting in Tbilisi. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor of Georgia. Now we will reach the end of these meetings. Fellow governors and official representatives, ladies and gentlemen, I hereby declare this meeting concluded. Thank you for your time. Please stay safe and goodbye. Thank you.